will go back when the president arrives to the stage. In the meantime, what will his appearance in Boston mean? Will it be enough to help Attorney General Coakley win the seat? What happens if she loses? Let's bring in Adam Geller, a Republican pollster and strategist, and Richard Socarides, a Democratic strategist. Gentlemen, good to have both of you with us.
Good to be here.
Good to be here.
Richard, you're up first. What will it mean, and what happens if she loses?
Well, first of all, I would say to my Republican friends, it's maybe a little early to pop the champagne corks because I don't think she's going to lose. I mean, I've been on the phone this morning with people on the ground and with reporters covering the race, and they said that there is a lot of enthusiasm for her. She's really turned it around. She appeared at the beginning to take the race a little bit for granted, which you should never do when you're running. But this visit by the president, I think, will help her a lot, and I think she's going to win.
But does the president being there indicate that there's more concern about her ability to do that? Richard, just tell me that first.
There is definitely some concern about her ability to turn it around, but I think the tide has turned and the enthusiasm is now definitely with her.
Adam, we've said all along, based on the experts that we've talked to, that this race is really about more than just Massachusetts. Because if the voters turn out and they're so concerned about issues like health care, and she doesn't win, that could really be a harbinger for what happens in the midterm elections in other races like this, where the change that the voters that are Democrats believed in, they feel they didn't get. Well, what do you think about that?
I agree with you, Jamie. It is a national referendum. With all due respect to Richard, I think Scott Brown wins this race. Independents are voting for Scott Brown in the latest polling by 2-to-1 or even 3-to-1. And combined with the Republican enthusiasm, that's going to put him over the top. As Carl Cameron mentioned, there just doesn't seem to be that kind of enthusiasm on the Democratic side. And yes, it is a national referendum. It is about this health care proposal, and I think it has huge impacts and implications for the midterm elections.
You know, Jamie, I would say about that elections are rarely ever referendums on social policy. They're really about which candidate do you like best, which candidate do you think speaks more for you, and I think that the voters in Massachusetts are going to realize that she is the candidate who will speak for them.
Why,
she is
Richard?
Because
why? And I would say that it's also, if it's not a referendum on the issues, and it seems like if voters turn out, it is a referendum on something. Because let's face it, it's a special election. You generally don't get a big crowd.
And that's what it's been campaigned on.
Well, it will be a referendum on whether or not you're for the big banks or whether or not you're for working people, whether you're for the big pharmaceutical companies or whether you want health care reform, whether you're for the big insurance companies or whether you want to put real people first. And this is a state where the president can make a huge difference. Her campaign has now got a lot of electricity behind it, and I think she'll win.
Well, there's probably no greater electricity than the president. However, Adam, the GOP sitting back and watching Scott Brown's increase in popularity, increase in the polls, a very tight race. Weeks ago, we wouldn't have been having this conversation possibly. Right. But apparently, the poll numbers are suggesting that voters see something in him that they like.
Well, and Jamie, here's the thing, too. The president is not going to impact this race. The race, the only thing left right now is turnout and motivation to turn out. President Obama is absolutely going to rile up the Democratic base. That's just not going to be enough to give Coakley a majority or a plurality in this race.
All right,
this is about independents and Republicans.
I have 40 seconds left. Can I give each of you 15 seconds to tell me, Adam, go first. Tell me what each of the candidates has that the other doesn't. First, Scott Brown.
Okay,
Adam?
Scott Brown has momentum. He has the Republican intensity, and he has the independent vote. I think I'm going to give Richard the rest of my time.
Generous, Richard.
What she's got, very fortunately for her, is a 3-to-1 Democratic enrollment advantage. She's got enormous structural advantages in the state, and she's in a state where people are supportive of the agenda of the Democrats, and she's got, the legacy of the Kennedys.
Richard got the extra time, and he took it. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being with us. We're watching the race. We're also watching and waiting for President Obama to arrive, and we'll bring that to our viewers. Thanks, gentlemen. Good to see you both.
Take care.